Okay guys, to get started you need to go to digitalarts116.org, Unit 7, and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to download the We Are Round Lake template. Okay, something else you're going to need is the picture of yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the digital server. If you don't see it here, go to Go and connect to server. And then after you've connected to the server, you're going to look for the picture day folder and you're going to look for yourself, and we want to open your picture in Photoshop. So I'm going to pick myself, right click, and open with Photoshop. Okay, so we want to select him and we want to actually put him into the template here and get rid of this girl. We want to get rid of her. We don't need her. And so if I look really closely at the student, if I look at the edges, this would be super hard to cut out. There's no way that we could actually grab all of the hair. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use channels to make a selection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my channels palette. If you don't see it here, you could go to Window and then Channels. And then I'm going to click on each one, and I want to only have open the darkest one. So let me see. And it looks like blue usually has the most contrast between the background. So what I want to do here is actually increase the contrast between the background and the person. So what I'm going to do is after I have the channel selected, I'm going to hit Command L or Control L if I'm on a PC. So I'm going to pick Command L because I'm on a Mac. And I'm going to, so my levels are up, my channel is blue, and I'm going to click this arrow right here, click and drag. I'm going to bring it over until I see that I can still see hair and the majority of his face is going to be black. But we don't want to go too far that it kind of disappears. So we want to still have contrast. We're increasing the contrast. This looks good to me. So I'm going to hit OK. Alright, so now I've created this contrast on the blue layer. So I want to make this a selection. So I'm going to hold down my Command button because I'm on a Mac, or Control if you're on a PC, and I'm going to select the blue channel. So I have Command selected, I selected the blue channel, and now notice that it's a selection. I'm now going to jump over to my layers, and when I do that, it's still going to have that selection on my layers, still selected. So I have my background selected, and what I want to do is make that channel selection into a mask. So with that background layer selected, I'm going to come down here to, I call it the Japanese flag, but this is the mask icon, and when I select it, it turns my selection into a mask. The problem is that it's inverted, okay? So it actually created the person to be a mask, it's cut out, and I want the background to be cut out. So what I'm going to do is invert the selection. So on a Mac, I'm going to hit Command I and make sure that the mask is selected here. If you're on a PC, Control I. So I'm going to hit Command I, and now my mask is inverted. And it looks pretty good, okay? But notice that I'm missing information. So let's look more closely at just the mask. I'm going to do a little shortcut here. I'm going to hold down the Alt Option button on my keyboard, and I'm going to select the mask here, and then it will show in my canvas. Very good. So what I want here is we want the person to be white because we want them to show, and we want the background to be black. We don't want the background to show. So what I'm going to have to do is pick my paintbrush, and I need to paint areas that need to be white. So I'm holding down Control and Alt, and I'm pulling right to make it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to paint the insides of myself so that, and I'm not going to get close to the edges, I'm just going to make sure that all this inside information is there. And so what we want this showing, we want this showing, and then this is where I'm going to need to zoom in, and I'm going to have to change the size of my brush. So I'm holding down Control and Alt while I pull left to make my brush smaller. And there we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to use my hand tool and click and drag around And I'm going to paint anything that I see needs to be filled in. So I just need to be a detective here. Look for any gray in the white area that should not be here. Okay, and I see some in my face, so I'm going to get rid of that. And I see some here. Okay, it's looking good. Don't worry about the edges yet. Here we go. So I'm a detective, and I did a pretty good job. Okay, now the background needs to be black, right? Because we don't want it to be shown. So I'm going to switch my colors here so that I'm painting with black, and I'm going to increase my brush size, and I'm going to paint black all the way around. Now don't worry about the edges, just get as close as possible, because remember, we don't want to do all that damage to that hair that we just spent all this time trying to cut out. So just enough. Stay away from the hair, stay away from the very, very edge. And this looks good to me. Okay, so I'm going to click back, and he's looking pretty good. But I still need to refine my mask, because if I look really closely, we still see that yellow background in the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click the mask, and what that's going to do is it's going to open up some options and how I can actually manipulate the mask a little bit further. So I'm going to double click, and we're going to get this menu. Now if yours doesn't look like mine, you can go to view, and I have overlay on, and what that does is that it turns on this redness, so you can kind of see where the edges are. It's not going to be there when you're done cutting out. It's just to help you see where you need to clean stuff up. And if I come over here to this is a new tool, it's called Refine Edge. I'm just going to click and drag around my hair, and what's happening is that it's trying to detect what's hair, and it's trying to detect what is actually skin tone and the background, and notice that it's getting rid of the white. So you're going to have to go all the way around your hair, your skin, and it's just going to refine that mask all the way around. Notice that it's doing a really great job. Okay, it didn't do so much there. Yeah, just kidding. So I'm going to bring that back. And okay. Now notice that I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, because I had some area here that I needed to get rid of. So I'm going over here, I'm going over here. So you're going to do this all the way around your whole self until you look good, until it's all cleaned up, and then you're going to hit OK.